Alternative interpretations for your English literature exam can be so helpful, and I really recommend working on them and developing them in advance so you can just write them out in the exam. If you're new to the idea of alternative interpretations, it's basically like picking a character, maybe a bad character, and seeing if there's any way that we could see them as good, and likewise vice versa for good characters, are there any ways that we can see them as bad or that we can criticize them? That's quite a broad way of thinking about it, but I think that helps a lot of students. So for example, with Mr. Burley in Inspector Calls, most people see him as greedy and selfish, and in many ways that is his character, but we can also show the examiner that we have interesting ideas, we can think beyond the basic interpretation, and perhaps we could suggest that in some ways we can actually feel a degree of sympathy for Mr. Burling because he is a character who is slightly lower socially than his wife, and I think feels quite a lot of pressure to sort of improve his social status. We know that he was worried that Lady Croft sort of looked down on Sheila and thought that Gerald could do better than her, and I imagine that must really upset him, right, as a father, to know that his daughter is sort of was looked down on a little bit because of his lower social ranking. So perhaps we could say, you know, on the one hand we could see him as selfish and greedy and sort of a social climber. On the other hand, we could see him as a father, right, trying really hard to improve his family situation because he knows how tough the world is. Not saying that you have to say that is the correct answer, but just offering it as an interpretation is a great way of showing the examiner that you can think outside of the box and that you know more than just the bog standard interpretations that everybody else gets taught.